This week on Vaticano, Pope Francis holds an evening of prayer for Christian unity in Rome. Travel with us from Italy to Russia to find out about the life of Sergius of Radonesh, recognized and venerated as a saint by both the Roman Catholic and Russian Orthodox churches, and witness how interfaith dialogue helps Christians to overcome division. For this and more, Vaticano starts now. The Second Vatican Council affirmed that the restoration of Christian unity is one of the primary concerns of the Catholic Church. And for more than 50 years now, the Church has been working to overcome the issues that divide the body of Christ. In this special episode, we're focusing on the dialogue between the two biggest branches of Christianity, the Roman Catholic Church and the Russian Orthodox Church. Despite some differences in 1,000 years of division, there's one thing that certainly unites these churches, and that's the veneration of common saints. We travel from Italy all the way to Russia to look into this element of the shared journey towards unity, the path of those who have already achieved perfect communion with God, the saints. The evening prayer led by the Pope at the Basilica of St. Paul's outside the walls in Rome on the feast of the conversion of St. Paul is a unique occasion during the year when Christian leaders gather together for a moment of prayer. At the beginning of the January the 25th celebration, Pope Francis stands with the personal representatives of both the Anglican Archbishop of Canterbury to his left and the Ecumenical Orthodox Patriarch of Constantinople in front of the tomb of their common saint, the Apostle Paul. The lector reads from the book of Exodus, a reading called the Song of Moses and Miriam. It's a song of praise to the Lord for the salvation of Israel from the hands of the Egyptians immediately after the Exodus through the Red Sea. Your right hand, O Lord, glorious in power, sounds the theme of the week of Christian unity. It glorifies God for the common baptism and for salvation from sin.
This is our experience as believers. As we grow in spiritual life, we increasingly understand that grace reaches us together with others and is to be shared with others. So when I raise my thanksgiving to God for what He has done in me, I find I do not sing alone, because other brothers and sisters have my same song of praise.
This song of praise has no boundaries and creates no enemies and no division, because this prayer is directed to the founder of the Church on earth, to Jesus Christ, who himself prayed that his disciples may all come together as one. This is the song of the Russian Orthodox liturgy that unites the faithful for the Eucharistic mystery. The Russian Orthodox tradition hails from the time when the Church was united. Saint Vladimir baptized the Rus in the 9th century, and from then on Christianity in its Eastern tradition spread quickly into the newborn Kingdom of Rus. The Great Schism of 1054 broke the communion between the West and the East, and what are known today as the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches. Subsequently, the East, including Russia, has developed a different Christian civilization to the West for around 1,000 years. These differences are clearly expressed in architecture, art, culture, philosophy, and theology. This is the heart and the symbol of Moscow, the Kremlin. With a flag atop, the Grand Kremlin Palace overlooks the Moskva River from the Borovitsky Hill. This palace functions in a similar way to the White House in the USA. And it's the official residence of the Russian president. There are also numerous church towers looking out from the Red Wall. The question must be, what are they doing in the government citadel? The Kremlin complex includes 5 palaces, 4 cathedrals, and a gigantic belfry. This is the heart of the Kremlin, the Cathedral of the Assumption, the place of the coronation of the Russian Tsars. It was built in the second half of the 15th century by the Italian architect Aristotle Fioravanti, who was commissioned by Ivan the Great. This is the tallest building of the complex, the Ivan the Great Bell Tower, housing the biggest bell in the world, the Tsar Bell. Before the Soviet Union, this citadel preserved both temporal and spiritual power for hundreds of years. Monarchs lived here side by side with patriarchs. Numerous public ceremonies and proclamations have taken place by these red walls. The Resurrection Gate, guarded by the Saints Peter and Paul, leads to Red Square and to St. Basil's Cathedral, shaped like the flame of a bonfire. To the right of St. Basil's Cathedral, Spasskaya Tower rises up with its chimes. On the opposite side is Nikolskaya Tower, with St. Nicholas of Bari guarding the city and holding a sword in his left hand, also protecting the church. St. Nicholas is one of the most important saints of the Russian Orthodox tradition. He's also a saint of the Catholic Church. These towers and walls, as well as the Cathedral of the Assumption, were designed by Italian architects, and we can safely assume that they were Catholics. So despite disagreements and sometimes even war with Catholic kingdoms, the Kremlin is a combined work of Catholic and Orthodox masters. Metropolitan Hilarion Alfeyev, chairman of the Department of External Church Relations of the Moscow Patriarchate, says that these days, in general, relations between the two churches are good.
The Orthodox people is a very mixed group, and we have different trends within the Orthodox Church. We have some people who are very open to some conversations with the Catholic Church, and we are other groups who are still very hostile to the Catholic Church. So in order to create a good climate between the two churches, we have to work on common projects which can bring people on both sides together. And one of those projects which really helped quite significantly to increase mutual understanding was the translation of the relics of St. Nicholas from Bari to Moscow and St. Petersburg.
Swiss Cardinal Kurt Koch, the president of the Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity, is in agreement.
I think we can see 3 fruits. First of all, in the ecumenism of saints and exchange of relics. Pope have given relics to the Patriarch and the Patriarch gave relics to the Pope. And this is very important because we have not need only relations between the head of the churches, but we must deepen this relation by the people, by the faithful, and the veneration of relics is very important for the faithful.
This dialogue is especially important for those Christians who live next door to the brothers from another Christian denomination. In a few moments, we'll be back with more on Vaticano.